Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Trish, and I am so happy to be here tonight. What do you know? We meet again. This is the If Only single launch, but it is really more than that. As a lover of music, I have been curious and fascinated about the ins and outs about how a song is born, how it's created, from the inspiration to the pen and paper to the instruments to the vocals to our radios and streaming platform. How does that happen? How does it work, guys? How does it? Aren't you curious? Cuz I think I can be a songwriter. I think I can. I think. Okay, now with me tonight are some of the premier and greatest songwriters our country has, and I have the distinct honor and pleasure to introduce them tonight. I'm a little nervous, but don't tell them. Okay, don't tell them. Do not tell them that I'm actually shaking in my pajamas. Okay, anyway, the first tonight, of course, is our queen of the night, Miss Adjeng. Hello, Adjeng.
Oh my God, Trish, it's an
Yes.
absolute pleasure. But the queen part, I kind of
Hindi naman.
no,
Tanggapin mo na,
grabe
Jeng. Ito
naman
naman
'yon.
eh.
Grabe naman. No,
Ah,
alam ko naman na importante yung nandito ako kasi ilo-launch yung kanta ko.
oo
But
naman.
I greatly appreciate the faith you have in me because I am standing on the shoulders of giants tonight, basically. And I'm excited because I'm in the company of wonderful people I have continuously learned from through the years. So
Speaking
hello.
of
Hello.
giants, of course, we have to introduce the giants that have helped you and are with you tonight. The night would not be complete or right, actually, to be honest, if we didn't have your partner in crime in songwriting, Mr. Nino Regalado. Hello! Good evening po.
Hi Trish, hi Adjeng.
We meet
Giants
Hey!
talaga
again.
bigla naman nakakapanliit naman yung description mo, giants talaga
Veteran giant. Boy, gusto mo yan? Pinasukan ng veteran. Magagalit yan ng konti. Veteran, ayaw niya
Okay,
ng veteran.
not for anything, but I have gotten to know you two in the course of our launches. So our next two guests, dito ako kinakabahan. Pero wag niyo sabihin sa kanila, ha? Secret lang natin.
Mhm.
Secret
Our
lang nila.
next guest, our next guest is a singer-songwriter who has written hits for upcoming and seasoned Filipinos. This is something that I am so interested in. He is the 2010 Phil Scap Songwriting Competition Grand Prize winner with the song of hope, Wag Mong Isipin. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Toto Sorioso.
Hello,
Woohoo!
good evening.
Hi, good
Singer-songwriter in his own
Hi
evening.
right.
Trish, hi Adjeng, hi Nino.
Hi, to.
So
Ito,
excited.
Hello.
good
I'm not
evening.
nervous at all. Wala ka naman narinig backstage, di ba? Wala naman, di ba?
Trish is the
Okay.
best.
Last but certainly not the least, we have one of the founding members of the vocal group. Oh my God. Ngayon ko lang naramdaman yung ngipis.
Tatawa ka, Trish.
Okay. We have one of the founding members of the vocal group behind the hits. Muntik na kitang minahal. Oh,
Oh my
sobra. And
grabe.
everlasting love, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Moy Ortiz. Hi, good evening. Okay, nakamute ka, Sir Moy, ah. Sir Moy, nakamute ka. You have muted yourself.
How very boomer. Alam mo yung salita ka na ng salita, huy, nakamute ka. how very matanda. Kainis.
I'm with
Nasira ang
you.
forma. Good
I
evening,
feel you.
Trish. Thank you for having us on your show. Good evening, Adjeng, and congratulations on the brand new single, Nakasave Na. At
Grabe.
ang mga nire-respete kong mga kapatid Nino and Toto, you know I'm a fan of you guys because you are men of integrity sa music ninyo. So, and I mean that. So, thanks for having us on the show.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so
Grabe.
let's listen to it. That's it. That's the show. Good night.
Hi.
Moy, may I say, talagang kaway-kaway kay Trish kasi grabe, nangangatog na yan slight. Alam mo yun, sa pajamas. Nung nalaman na
So,
kasama si Mr. Moy Ortiz, medyo, wait a minute, nabaliw na. So,
Pasalamat ka,
kaway-kaway, Moy.
Adjeng, pasalamat ka. Hindi sinabi ni Trish, sino yun? Who that?
Uy, sus!
Ay,
Oh my gosh! What are you
never!
talking
Oh my
about?
gosh. Iconic,
Adjeng, it's not
iconic.
about me. Tonight, it's about you and
That's
your
why I
music.
said. That's why I said it. You're the queen. So sige. the reason why I am so excited about this episode, because aside from being a part of the music industry one way or the other, I'm also a huge fan of music. I have found myself sitting in my car, yung parang music video na umuulan, tapos kumakanta with the songs, and one way or the first thought is, how does this person know what I'm feeling, and how did they put it to song? So that is something that I am so curious about. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are watching, feel free to leave a comment below, and also share the stream to your friends and inspiring tama, upcoming songwriters as well. So if I know I'm not alone when I'm in my bedroom and I hear a song and it just pierces my heart, and I wonder, how did they do that? And I also think, I'm not alone. So Jeng, my question is to you, and of course anyone can go ahead and interject. How did it start for you? How did it come about? I'm gonna write songs.
I well, I was 5 when I first heard Michael Jackson perform in the 25th anniversary of Motown. I think that was my mom was always playing Michael Jackson songs, and even of course original Filipino music was always playing on the radio. So I loved listening to songs, and then I realized that I wanted to, as a writer, parang as a budding writer, I also wanted to create something like that because I felt like they were able to immortalize their stories then. So gusto kong maging part of that. Gusto kong maging part of that creative process. And I started very very young. But of course, hindi polished yung mga pinagagagawa ko as a child. So, yun. I think I started learning, attending workshops. And I think Moy was actually in one of those workshops. I mean, talagang, yeah, I was attending workshops and songwriting forums.
Wow.
Si Moy, I love the reaction. So,
Huh?
parang, I really took the time to sit with people who really wrote as well. And I started learning. And I guess that's where it all began.
Okay, time. So ang ibig mo sabihin, when you were 5 years old, you were already creating songs? You were already
I
like,
was,
creating
I started at
melodies and stuff?
Yeah, but those syempre when you're a kid, you try to base everything on the things that you just hear on the radio. So I had little melodies, I had a lot of musical influences. So back then I some of my little made up songs sounded like the ones of my favorite artists. And then later on I realized, oh, you can actually do something completely different, alam mo yun, by learning the fundamentals like playing guitar. And then, of
Mm-mm.
course, I always loved poetry as a child. So, kumbaga, it started falling into place back then, like that. But I
Okay.
was really young writing.
So so okay. I'm gonna be very, very naive because I also want to learn. So does that necessarily mean, anyone of course can answer, does that necessarily mean that just because I know how to write a poem, or I can make something that rhymes, I can be a songwriter? Anyone at all? Talk.
That can be a start. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that's how some people start writing songs with the words, like what happens to Adjeng and me. Whenever we write songs, palagi nauuna yung words. So if you're asking about if you write songs, is it good enough if I start with poetry? Is it a good start? Yes, it is. So the answer to your question is yes. It's a
Oh,
start. It's a start. It's not the whole song yet, but that's how it starts.
okay. So from a very young age, if I notice my child, kumbaga, being able to produce or to write poems, and they start singing it to themselves, that I should take that as a sign, no? That I could have a possible songwriter on my hands.
I love
Okay.
the emphatic nodding of Moy. Come on, Moy! Gusto ko
Yes.
marinig to. Excited.
Yeah.
Ako yung excited.
Hindi,
Oh,
And
I'm
of
so
tama
course,
yung
Toto.
excited.
sinabi ni Nino, Trish.
Mhm.
I'm sure mag-agree si Adjeng, si Toto, at si Nino. Ano yun eh, yung paggawa ng sini, yung paggawa ng art. I don't want to sound cryptic, but it's the truth and it sounds cliche, but there is no one way to
Okay.
create art. You can start with a melody, you could start with a phrase, you can start with a poem, you can start with anything, with a color, you can start with a memory. There is no one way to create art, but there are way. I mean, if like you're talking to Adjeng, who has been writing songs since she was 5, and Toto and Nino, and iba-iba ang way to get there, ang
Hmm.
proseso. So there is no right or wrong way. The thing is, you just have to have the follow through na hindi ka nagse-self-edit ng masyadong maaga. Yung 3 linya pa lang nasusulat mo, uncrap. Uncrap. I don't write I don't write well. Ano lang,
Yeah,
ibuhos mo
right.
lang
I
ng
agree.
ibuhos. Kasi kung masyadong maagang pag-self-edit mo, wala ka talagang mabubuo.
I agree.
Wow. Okay, so how did it start for you? I mean, how does it start for you? That's what that because I really do want to try and maybe write a song in my lifetime. I have written a couple of songs, but I'm not a singer. I'm also not a songwriter. There, see this. So that's the self criticism that I'm pretty sure a lot of others have felt in their journey. I have something. I've written it. I have a melody, but never mind. I'll just throw it away. So where does it start for you? Like for example, with Yuto, because you're a singer songwriter for a lot of other Filipino artists, diba?
Apart from writing his own songs, yeah, for
Correct.
himself. Yeah.
Yes. Correct. So, but how does that start? Like for example, ako, I'm let's just pretend I'm a world famous singer. And I say, "To, I want a song, write me one." Ganun lang ba kasimple?
Ah, iba rin yung ano, yung attack kung halimbawa magsusulat ka ng song for a singer or kasi
Oop.
tsaka yung boses niya, yung kung ano ba siya, kung soprano ba siya, alto or tenor, yung range niya. So iba rin yung challenge at saka iba rin yung fulfillment 'pag gumagawa ka ng song for an artist. So 'yun, it starts there. Parang you're not writing for yourself, eh. You're writing for the purpose of that artist.
Does that
So,
add pressure?
actually ano rin siya, challenging din. Tsaka yung reward para sa akin for someone who writes songs for other people. Yung marinig mo yung especially kung fan ka rin ng artist na ginagawa mo ng song. Halimbawa si Jean Velasquez o kaya man sila Jaya, 'di ba? Yung mga Sir Gary V. 'Pag makagawa ka ng song for them, 'di ba? Parang napaka ano, isang malaking honor. Tsaka marinig mo yung boses nila na sobrang galing na performer na singer na yun din yung incentive to write yung artist na
Wow.
magaling na kakanta ng song.
So, in terms of writing songs for others, there are also another set of factors that you have to think about: their range, their capability. Um, diba? I mean, why would you want to give a nice song to someone who can't sing it?
Well, may case din na gano'n na
Diba?
yung ginagawa mo ng song hindi rin talaga singer, 'di ba? Or kumbaga, marami ring artist na since maraming following, parang or sikat, parang merong deal kasi, 'di ba? Kumbaga, very very marketable siya. So, although ibang talent din 'yon, performer din 'yon na baka hindi singing yung kanyang forte pero kumbaga yung overall packaging niya ano. So, kailangan mo rin bagayan 'yon na
Wow.
kung halimbawa upbeat, 'di ba? For
Mhm.
that artist.
Wow. Okay. So that goes it's a perfect segue into my next question. Where do you get inspiration from?
Wow.
I mean, you know,
Mahaba-habang kwentuhan niya.
that's good. I really do want to know. I mean, what does it like in a fan? It's so glamorized kasi. It's so glamorized, like for example, in the movie A Star is Born. Lady Gaga's, that movie, first of all, has been remade 700 times, but every every time, but it starts with a female lead saying, I can just basically spit out songs," and it's fantasized that and it's just idealized. Now it's so easy to write. but I don't want to be that naive and exactly,
Sabay-sabay.
exactly, exactly. I don't want to be that naive and think, oh, I'm just going to sit in the parking lot and, I don't think it's going to be that simple, diba? So where does the inspiration come from? Where does it? I'm pretty sure. Okay, so sorry, my thoughts are going so fast, but okay, to contrast that, the likes of Dong Abay, diba? There was a story that he locked himself in his room just to write for like a month, I think. So where do you, as artists, as poets, as songwriters, how do you go about starting to write a song? How does that start for you? Where does the inspiration come from?
I have to say personally, from my experience, that it started a lot with a lot of heartbreak.
Aray,
It has
woo!
to be no, it has to be something like a majorly huge emotion, like sobrang happiness or sobrang painful, an experience. I mean, it had to be something extreme and really, really compelling, an experience, and then that's when the wells started to, di ba, to parang overflow in terms of creativity. That's where I'm coming from, because when I think I wrote best when I was really, really affected by.
Oh no, si Sir Moy!
I
Unmute
mean,
ka kasi! Unmute! I just want to hear your reactions because parang
fair.
in Moy's head, amen, hallelujah, yeah!
I don't know about my, of course, my fellow songwriters here, but I feel that it's when it's really, really, really painful to the point that you feel you're broken yourself. That's when things start, making, parang kumbaga, things start getting easier to write. That's personally my opinion. I don't know about Moy or Nino or Toto, but
Please go ahead.
Nins, ikaw.
Nino.
Parang, parang
Nins, are you
nag-freeze yata.
there? Frozen.
Yeah, parang nag-freeze siya eh. Okay, I'll just have him come back.
Okay.
So yeah,
Sige
so
lang.
where does how
You
does
want
it
me
how
to
does it
take
start?
that? And
Yes,
then
please.
after me, Toto?
Yes, please. Yes,
Sa
please.
akin, DJ Trish, Adjeng to, iba-iba. Ayan na. Ayan na si Nins. Nins, let's go the same let's go the same yung round natin. Nins, may tanong si DJ Trish sa'yo. Paano ka daw sumulat?
Okay. So narinig natin kanina si Adjeng from her personal experience. Ngayon, sa akin naman, hindi ko alam kung paano magsulat from experience. Mahina ako sa words. Yun ang weakness ko, yung lyrics. So, siguro gumagawa ako ng hypothetical situation. Magsa-start ako doon. So, hindi lang personal experience. Pwede rin experience ng ibang tao or pwede ka gumawa ng sarili mong senaryo. Kung gusto mo, halimbawa, magra-write ka ng song, paano kunyari napunta ako sa ibang planeta tapos may mga ibang tao doon, anong mafe-feel ko?
Really?
Parang
Wow.
siguro, ano bang pwede kong sabihin tungkol dito? So, not necessarily personal experience. Pwede experience sa iba, pwede hypothetical. At ang the best na nangyayari sa akin, sinusupplyan ako ng lyrics ni Adjeng. Yun ang the best na pwedeng mangyari sa, sa songwriting ko. Kasi talaga yun ang weakness ko eh. So, para sa akin, ganun. So, nagsa-start palagi in words. Minsan sabay kong ginagawa yung lyrics at saka yung melody. Ina-attempt ko talaga pagsabayan. Pero never ako nagsasucceed kasi tumatagal ako talaga sa words. Dahil
Oh
yun talaga.
wow.
So, yun.
How
Unlike
interesting.
Moy and Toto and Adjeng,
Mm-mm.
dun sila magaling. And
I
sana
think
someday makuha ko yung yung
Nino,
talent
medyo,
na
I
yun.
think, but I have to say this, and I have to say it right now, na Nino also has written a lot of nice songs na maganda rin yung words. So parang feeling ko, I think it's really more of the empathy. I think it starts with an empathy, a deep kind of empathy. Because if you're able to put yourself in a situation wherein hindi mo pa man ma-experience yon, pero nahuli mo
Yeah,
yung emotion. I mean, that's, I think, a talent in itself. So I have to say that.
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Pero yung speed ng kung paano ko na-come up with those words, ang bagal ko dun. Siguro nung narinig mo, nakailang edit na ako. So trial and error din eh.
Ang cute ni Sir.
Siguro yung
No. Ayaw talaga,
yung
no.
Hindi,
Ayaw niya.
thank you. Kasi meron akong mga songs na pinarinig ko kay Adjeng. At sabi niya nagustuhan niya. So, thank you. Kaya lang kasi ang laki ng effort na ginastos ko for that song. Ang laki ng effort na inexert ko. Hindi kagaya kapag si Adjeng ang gagawa. Magra-write lang siya ng mabilis. Yun na yun.
Yung mukha ko, hindi. No, but I like what Moy said earlier, to reiterate what he said. It's really, there's no, again, no one way. Parang there are moments when it becomes as fast as 5 minutes, diba? As 10 minutes. Pero there are days na you have to leave it, diba? Leave the work, do something else and come back to it. And, finally you're refreshed and then your mind is ready to pour it all out. I mean, it's really a difficult thing to explain, but at the same time, it's really a simple thing if you think about it. There's a lot of empathy again. I want to reiterate that. Tama si Moya, with no one way for that. Pero excited ako marinig yung mga kasagutan.
I know, me
Na-excite
too.
ako.
Sige po.
Okay.
Excited ako.
Adjeng, sige. So I'm next, tapos ito to.
Sure.
Okay, Deng, before we move on, you have to say hello to all of your friends who are watching the feed.
Oh my goodness.
You have the ano? O sige,
Yeah,
while you're getting your feed, our good friends Renren Arcilia, Jolife Ong Ramos, saying hello
Wow.
to Adjeng, Una
Oh.
Tango, teacher Heidi Demaisip is saying hello to Adjeng, Edna Rose Sarmiento, and there is someone saying, wow, Toto is using an Avantone Pro CV12 cool tube mic. This is your friend.
Wow.
Oh,
That's Mark.
do you
Yeah,
see
that's
the
Mark.
feed? Do you see the feed?
Yeah.
And then, ako ito si Maki Ricafort. Hi po mga idol ho. And my good
Oy, si
friend,
Maki.
Hoho Serafika. She works with ABS-CBN. Good friend for. Okay,
Hello,
to answer the
everyone.
question of DJ Trish and Adjeng, yeah, literally it's a case-to-case thing. Hindi yan cookie cutter. Tama yung sinabi ni Adjeng, may mga awitin na lalabas lang in minutes, and there are songs that for me, hindi ko masyadong pinapatagal ng like a month or 2 months because you tend to overthink things, and the initial germ of the idea of the song becomes very watered down if you
Yes.
overthink things. So you always have to, it has always served me well to always go with your initial rush, the initial musical instinct. Don't doubt that. Kasi ang feeling ko, I don't mean to sound preachy here, but the way I look at it is like what we do, Adjeng, Toto, Nino, and you, Trish, kahit deny ka ng deny na hindi ka songwriter, the fact na nakakasulat ka, my take on this is all of this is just a download from God. Wala kang
wow.
karapatan magyabang na, galing-galing ko, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, nagawa ko. That's just a download from God. And if pride or ego overtakes you, ang dali lang yun isara ang gripo, wala ka na, dry spell ka na. So that's my take on that. It's every single time you write, it's a different experience and it's a different take. The second answer to that is, well, everyone, to expound on what Adjeng is saying, you have to, not have to, it's easier to write when you attack it with open eyes, open ears, an open heart and an open mind. It's not so much about judgment. It's just about bubuksan mo lang yung antenna mo. And it doesn't necessarily, yung sinabi ni Nino, doesn't have to be autobiographical. if you're open to the world, to the stories of people going around you, and sinasabi ni Adjeng, be empathetic, be able to relate to the humanity of other people. I'm not saying being permissive. I'm just saying is try to put yourself in their shoes, in their story, you know? And when you're in that mindset, it's easier to come up with mini movies in music, which is actually a song. So if you lead and navigate life with open eyes, ears, heart, and mind, you are more empathetic and you are able to draw stories from life itself. Sorry
Yeah.
ha. Tama ba yun?
I love it. I love it. No, I want to also add to that. I love what you said there about being open, because sometimes when you approach, ako personally, this is from my personal experience. Now, when I try to approach it as something to, parang to, parang siyang work. If I approach it as work, because I know that as songwriters, diba, it becomes work. Diba? We are assigned a certain job and everything. But I find it to be such a personal experience. And it has to really, I have to quote a certain author. An author, I forgot which one. I'm not sure if it was Stephen King or some other author who said na no tears in the writer, no tears in the reader. So for me, kapag ramdam na ramdam ko yung sinusulat ko because of all the emotion that's poured into it, I'm kind of confident that some soul who will listen to it will also feel the way
The same
I
thing.
felt. Yeah, I felt.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
When you're
Very
coming
cathartic.
from a place of truth, right, guys? You're coming from a place of truth. Yun nga, it doesn't have to be autobiographical. But if you're
right.
coming from a place of truth, whether the song is dark or whether you agree with the worldview of your protagonist, but you are able to tell a story if it's coming from a place of truth, meaning because all emotions are universal.
Mismo.
Iba-ibang lingwahe natin, di ba? Iba-iba, English or whatever language, wherever region you come from. But emotions are the same. So it's your job as a songwriter to articulate that through your worldview, using your choice of words, and through your lens. Ano
Wow.
to? May sense ba? Ikaw na to. Ano kaya
Actually,
mo?
Sabay bato
I
kay Toto.
I
Love it.
copy and paste lang talaga sa lahat ng sinabi ni Sir Moy, ni Nino, tsaka ni Adjeng. Pero
Copy
importante
paste.
sa'kin,
Yeah.
I respect those songwriters who write, who are vulnerable enough to write from, kumbaga yung hugot nila, meron silang pinaghuhugutan. Yung gano'ng proseso na talagang ino-open nila yung wounds nila. Tapos yung ang kata, but, wala ba? Wala. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Ayun, yun eh, it's not about the ego eh. Parang it's about ano, being sincere, being vulnerable, being in the moment, catching that ano, that yung blessing sa'yo ni God na song na ikaw yung vessel to make that music. So yun.
What I find very interesting with what all of you just said, I mean, with Jeng and with Moy, it's kind of like yung nga, humuhugot kayo sa mga personal experiences nyo. But with Sir Nino and Toto, it's like they can go into the abstract and pull it out. So it's very fascinating to me that it's two different styles of songwriting. Not that it, sorry, I'm just flabbergasted. It's just very fascinating to me that the songwriting process is so complex, but it's simple at the same time. So, oh, right, it is it. And I think my favorite statement so far is that you are a download from God. Oh my
Totoo
goodness.
naman. Yun ang feeling ko. Kaya, DJ Trish, kung they play one of my songs, after the fact, like after, sabihin natin, 30 years, 30-year-old song, tapos, ay, ikaw Ang feeling ko actually, syempre grateful ako at naging hit, grateful ako at tinutugtog pa yung kanta. Pero I feel not detached. It's a different entity altogether. The song the song is song. Hindi ko talaga ma-embrace yun, akin yan. Kasi kung minsan hanggang ngayon, hindi to false modesty, nagpapakatotoo lang ako. Kasi kahit na hanggang ngayon, makagawa ako ng kanta, tapos nai-impress ako, my God, sa akin yun lumabas. It is proof na hindi talaga atin eh. Pahiram lang talaga, download lang talaga. Kaya nakakatakot magyabang na ang galing-galing kong sumulat, ang bilis-bilis kong sumulat. What kung siraduhin ng Diyos ang, God is not vindictive. God is a God of love. But if ego takes over and the well dries up because you're so into yourself, nakakatakot yun. Just, yun lang. I think we all agree here in our fellowship here na ano yun? Ano, Toto? Parable of the... we are stewards, di ba? Stewards lang
Right.
tayo. Huwag tayong magyabang. Hanggat pinapahiram tayo, hanggat pinapa-download tayo ng Diyos, pasalamat lang tayo, tapos i-share natin sa mundo.
Right.
I don't
Galing.
know. I don't know if it makes sense.
I completely
That's how I
agree.
think of it.
Tama.
Importante
Agree din ako.
na songs are meant to be shared. Bali wala rin, sinasabi ni Mr. C, di ba? Para saan pa ang kanta kung hindi mo ipaparinig. So, kaya Trish, dapat gawin mo na yung song.
Gusto mo yung parang mic drop moment na yun. I love that.
Wait lang, I'm host. That is
I
not the hat
I
that
also
have.
want to add, I like what Moy said there eh. Kasi parang nai-immortalize mo rin yung emotions na ibang tao when you write. So it's not really yours. It's not really just your work at all eh. Hindi talaga. Hindi talaga. Tsaka if someone wasn't open enough to trust you with his story, I think that you wouldn't be able to really fully execute that that way. Parang feeling ko people have to trust you with that story. And sometimes you also have to trust yourself and forgive yourself na, oh my gosh, I'm gonna bare my soul here. I have to do it. Kahit na medyo may matatamaan somehow. I don't know. I mean, minsan hindi mo sinasadya, may natatamaan kang
Right.
bato-bato sa what's that? What's that expression?
Bato-bato sa langit ang tamaan, wag magalit.
I mean, but sometimes minsan masusulat mo na lang tapos people are gonna come up to you and say, para kanino ba yung yung para kanino ba yung ibig mo sabihin? Sabi ko, minsan hindi eh. Tumatama lang talaga eh. And I think there's a dynamic between you and the person you're writing for or the person you want to share that song with. And I love what Moy said about download from God. I just want to say that again. Kasi sometimes si God has a way of telling a story na it gets buried in the back of your mind. Nasa recesses of your mind lang yan. And then it comes to the surface when you need it the most. So, grabe. Thank you, Lord. Bigla na pa, thank you, Lord. Moy,
Why
thank
not?
you.
Why
Thank you,
not?
Lord.
Pahiram lang naman to. Teka, may iba muna tayo.
Sure.
Nino, your wife is saying hi. Say, greet her. Tessa.
Ang
Hi,
galing-galing ni Moy
Joanna.
makita. Oy, mag-message ng mga pa-sweet dyan. Go!
Here. Ayun. And then also, how do you
Asan yung-
say this? Inot, medyo busy. Inot, medyo busy. Hi, Adjeng. And Rodrin Buenaventura and
Uy, si
Angel
Daddy.
Santa Ana is watching. So
Moy,
thank
you're
you,
the best.
everyone.
Saan mo nakikita
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's in the
Hello din
roll.
kay
It's in the
Tessa.
scroll.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
checking it now.
Thank you for listening in. I mean, we all shared this. And I also agree with Toto, although it's a lesson that took me so long to learn, and I'm still learning it. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable is the most courageous act you can be. So, as a songwriter, to open up and show your beautiful scars.
Ay!
Ang
Sorry
hirap
na
nun.
ano ka doon.
Ang hirap
Grabe yung
nun.
beautiful scars.
Ang hirap nun. Pero that's the way you can touch someone because if it's coming from a place of truth, because you choose to be brave and vulnerable, may makaka-relate. Kasi kung takot ka sumulat at lahat ng kanta mo ang dating generic, well, may makaka-relate pa rin nun, if it's very broad, if like a visual painting, if the strokes are broad, people can still like that and relate to it. But if you go very specific and you deal with the messiness of humanity and life, the messiness of being an adult, of being a person, mas maraming makaka-relate nun eh.
You know what I'm getting from the four of you is kind of like when you produce a song, when you write a song, it's a page from your diary that everyone has read and everyone has heard. So my nagtataka ako when you hear a song that you've written in the past, whether it was sung by you or someone else, um, does it automatically take you back to like that feeling? Kasi like for example, write it about a heartbreak. Surnames, diba? You write about a heartache, and then Jeng sings it, and let's say a couple years pass by, like 5 years, and then you hear it again on the radio. Does it take you back? Like, aray! Aray ko! I remember, ang sakit nun! Oh, so how does
Parang
it
hindi ko
feel
na
to
yata naaalala yung feeling kapagka merong ano, minsan oo, naalala ko, lalo na kapagka nangyari sa akin talaga. Pero minsan, hindi rin eh, kasi feeling, ano yun, experience ng ibang tao, tapos naaalala ko lang yung time kung kailan ko ginagawa yung melody. Meron din kasi mga songs na wala naman talaga ibig sabihin sa'yo, pero ginagawa mo lang para matapos mo yung deadline, yung mga ganon. Ito namang pinag-uusapan natin, yung work aspect ng
Yes.
pag-songwriting. Mm-hmm. So merong yung isa, yung tinatanong mo, siguro ano nangyari sa'yo in the past. Kapag ka nangyari sa'yo yun, during the time na nira-write mo yun, pagka ni-recall mo yun in the present, oo, babalik yung feeling. Parang kung masaya ka nung nire-write mo yun, mare-recall mo, ay, saya ko nun. Nararamdaman ko ulit yung saya ngayon. Pero, kapag ito naman, yung work side ng songwriting, wala lang. Kahit ano, sige, basta. Nakakarinig tayo ng mga songs na wala namang sense, pero nag-hit. Magsisimula sa, Mama, just kill the man. Tapos mamaya, nothing really matters. Parang wala nang connection yung mga lyrics. Pero ang ganda ng song. Ba't ganun? It doesn't make sense. The words doesn't make sense. Pero ang ganda ng song. So meron talagang mga songs na nagwo-work kahit na basta-basta lang. Pero I think pinag-isipan din talaga mabuti yun kahit basta-basta lang eh.
What's interesting about the song that you mentioned, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, nobody wanted to produce that. No one wanted to play it on the radio because it was 6 minutes long. Yeah, it was 6 minutes long and no one wanted to play it. And it was the biggest hit for
I know the story.
Queen. Diba? That's just the most amazing. Yeah. So, okay. So you're writing in your diary, you rip out a page and you decide to give it to, actually, you're just looking at it. How do you decide whether the song is meant for you to sing or for someone else to sing? Because it's songwriting, obviously, no matter what avenue you choose, is very personal. Diba? It's your work. It's your mind that is going there. You know, you're drawing emotions from yourself. There's nobody else. So how do you, when you look at a finished song, you have the melody, you have the lyrics. How do you decide na ako yung kakanta or I'm gonna give it to Jeng? How? Nag-isip.
Siyempre, ang pinakasimpleng sagot dyan, kanino ba babagay yung song? Yun naman, halimbawa, nag-compose ako ng rock. Hindi naman ako rockstar, hindi naman ako rock singer, o nag-compose ako ng country. Tapos, baka naman pag ako kumanta nito, pagtawanan ako ng mga country singers dyan. So, yun ang pinakasimpleng sagot. Kanino ba babagay ito? At saka syempre, tatanggapin ba nila pag inoffer natin to sa kanila?
Right.
So, baka may iba kayong i-input. Kagaya nung ginawa namin ni Adjeng, naalala ko gumawa kami ng country song. Kaya lang both of us ayaw namin kantahin. Oo, kasi
You did.
hindi bagay sa'kin, hindi bagay kay Adjeng. Although ako yung kumanta ng demo, tapos pagka pinapakinggan ko, napapangiti lang ako kasi alam kong hindi naman talaga ako country singer. Pero basta gawa lang kami ng gawa. Bahala na kung sinong may gusto niyang song na 'yan. Tignan natin kung kanino mapunta or sino may gusto. Basta yun yung point, kung kanino bagay.
I thoroughly enjoyed that experience. Just writing kahit na hindi pasok sa genre ko, kunwari na pop, just to be able to create something for another person to sing, what a privilege. I mean, in my case, that's such a privilege. Kasi someday,
Wow.
if a country singer decides to bring life to that song, wow, I would be truly honored. Honored.
Right.
Ako
Okay.
Si
na,
So
Toto
naniniwala
nakasmile
rin
pa.
yeah,
ako
Sir
na.
To. Yeah, I know. I can see me.
Sorry, sorry.
No, 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 no. I'm so curious to say to hear what you have to give. Yes. Go ahead, Sir To.
Naniniwala rin ako na ang song, may instances din na siya yung namimili sino yung kakanta. Sino yung singer niya. Parang, ewan ko lang, medyo weird na theory. Kasi
No.
ako sa
Hindi, tama yan, tama.
experience ko, parang ilang beses ako nagpasa ng song for this artist para siya yung kakanta. Pero hindi ginamit. And then after 2 years, may siya eventually yung kumanta. So, parang naghahanap din ng perfect time yung song na marinig or for that perfect artist to sing that song. Yun
It's
lang.
kind of like Prince and Sheila E. and all the other artists that he has written for.
Mhm.
Or there are also some instances about for the young ones that are watching. Also, Lady Gaga has written a lot of songs that she has given to everybody else, but hits for them, but not a hit for her. So it came to the point. This is this is great. It came to the point where she said, "Ah, I'm not really tired." Sia is another one. I'm not really tired of writing songs for somebody else. I want to write a song for myself. What happens when you reach that point na tama na yung sounds selfish but not really, but tama na yung iba, ako naman. What happens at that point? How does it get to that point? Where does it like finally you have that enough confidence in yourself, I guess? Is that what it is? That you're going to sing your own song?
Me in my case, I write yung songs na ako yung kumakanta. It's more of feeling ko yung iba hindi nila magugustuhan. So, ako na lang kumukuha ng songs na
What?
parang feeling ko,
Toto,
parang nire-reserve ko
What?
yung sa case
Look
ko.
at Moy's face. He's like, "What? What are you talking about?" Look at his huh? Kung may thought
Parang
bubble lang si Sir Moy.
feeling ko, wala lang, hindi siya kukunin ng ibang singer. So, nire-record ko na lang for me. Parang ganun.
Pero to, it's funny you should say that because I follow you on Spotify and I've always said that I've always been a fan of your music.
Woo!
It just
Yeah.
yung I find that strange that you're sharing that with us now dahil ang ganda ng katalogo mo eh.
Wow.
Kung yun
I
ang
agree.
sinasabi mo, kung re-record mo yung mga feeling mo retaso na lang, ang gaganda ng retaso mo to. And I mean that wholeheartedly. You know how I view you? You're like our OPM Kenny Rankin. Ganun ang tingin ko sa'yo. So I find that strange. It's all perception lang siguro. Siguro yun ang feeling mo. Pero ako, galing na galing ako sa'yo.
Some of the best
Wow.
artists were so self-critical. Van Gogh, diba? He never thought that he was he never thought that he was good, and it was only appreciated after the fact. So do it, Serto. Do it. Okay, so when you're sitting at your desk and you're writing a song, do you hear it already? Do you hear the melody? Do you hear how it goes, or does that come in a process?
Jeng,
Well, ako kasi I realized that I have written few songs na ako yung melody. Most of the time, I birth the song with a lot of the words talaga. And then I have attempted to write melody and words na rin, finally, after many, many years of self-criticism and, parang kaba and everything. And when I did, and I approached a bandmate to give insights and feedback. Parang sabi niya, you just have to rearrange certain notes here and it works. So I think it takes a lot of humility also, feeling ko. You have to have that humility to say na, I can't do this alone. I want to bring this to a friend and ask for feedback, and when that person gives you feedback, kailangan talaga maging open ka eh. Kasi hindi ako naging absolutely confident agad with my melodies, to be completely transparent. And hello po. Yeah. And then sabihin, hello po. And then, hi. And then I realized there na when someone like from my circle, my inner circle, sa kabanda ko nga, sabi ko sa kanya, I'm not so confident with the chord progression of this, ganyan ganyan ganyan. Sabi niya, Ajeng, I'll help you arrange it, pero this is your melody. So when I took the time to step out of my comfort zone of just writing lyrics, feeling ko all of us have to have that realization that a beginner's mindset will always get you somewhere. Parang feeling ko when you have that perspective now, I don't care how old I've gotten, but you're never too old to learn something new, especially
Yes. Sorry.
especially when some well-meaning people speak to your life, speak blessings to your life, and they say, kaya mo gawin to, you just have to make a few adjustments to this and and then sabi ko, wow. So kahit na I have, excuse me, kahit na I have a very competent collaborator in Nino, parang every time we write together, I continuously learn from him in terms of melodic lines, in terms of how my ad libs would fall into place dun sa words that I've written. Parang it's a class, 'di ba? It's a master class. And I'm
Mm.
grateful that every person I get to work with, whether it's someone I just spoke to in a meeting, parang I glean all those nuggets of wisdom. Kami ni Moy, I've spoken to Moy, online at 3 a.m. We're exchanging thoughts, and then ang dami-dami ko nang napupulot, and I take it seriously. And thank you. I just
Wow.
want to say thank you to Toto and Nino and Moy, because these people are not only friends of mine whom I work with, but or I've had the privilege of being with in events. Pero I learn from all of you, and it's such a joy to just be in the company of these standing on the shoulders of these people. So
Ma, it's too early to cry, Jeg. Wag pa. Mamaya pa.
Hindi,
Ganda
like,
na, no?
I had to take this opportunity because I learn a lot every single day, and I'm not ashamed to say that ang sarap matuto sa mga magagaling na napaka-humble. Yun lang.
I just said this last night. The moment that you think that you know everything, it is time to hang up whatever it is that you're using. Whether it's a microphone, a pen, or headphones, just hang it up. If you really think that you have reached the peak of your education in your field, wala na, sarado na, yep, sarado na. So, Sir Nins, what happens when a songwriter, because every profession, siguro, safely we can say, may burnout point. You produce so many
Oo,
songs,
may
'di ba?
burnout point. Kasi kapagka palagi mo ng ginagawa, minsan gusto mo iba na sana iba naman. Kaya lang siyempre, eventually babalik ka pa rin dun, eh. Kailangan mo lang siguro mag-take a break kasi nasawa ka na dun sa ginagawa mo. Pero kapagka kaya ako ginagawa ko, nag-start out ako kasi nagsimula ako ng gagawin ko 'to kasi gusto kong gawin 'to. So,
Mhm.
nakakalungkot naman 'pag eventually magsasawa ka. Pero hindi talaga ako nagsasawa. Ang nangyayari lang, kailangan ko lang mag-take a break. Tapos babalik din ako. At habang nangyayari do'n, kagaya ng binanggit ni Adjeng kanina, nagle-learn siya from others. Halimbawa ako, si Moy, naalala ko noon, may experience ako with Moy. Meron siyang binigay sa akin na composition composition ni Moy. Tapos ang bilis niyang ginawa, hindi ko nga alam kung paano niya ginawa gano'n kabilis. Parang the next day, naibigay niya na kaagad sa akin yung demo. Tapos ang ganda nung song, hindi ako makapaniwalang gano'n niya kabilis na gawa 'yon. parang nagkaroon tuloy ako ng basis. Siguro dapat ako rin kailangan ganun. Pagka magaling na ako, siguro ganun din kabilis mangyayari sa akin. Tapos, ito, nakakatawa pa to. Para sa ibang tao yung composition ni Moy eh. So, ang ginagawa niya, nung 90s, panahon pa ng mga cassettes nun, pagka para sa female yung song, ang gagawin niya, ipipitch up niya yung cassette, isi-speed up niya para maging tama yung key para sa para sa female. So, so mas madali para sa akin i-arrange. Yun nga palang trabaho ko noon, ina-arrange yung mga songs nila. Some songs, gano'n. Tapos, ayun, from there, nakakakuha ko ng inspiration kasi nga, nagle-learn tayo from others. So, nakakaraos ako from my burnout. Siguro kung nagsusulat ako ng kanta nun, na-end ko yung aking writer's block. Tapos, siguro, dahil dun sa example na nakuha ko kay Moy, nagkaroon ulit ako ng energy para bumalik dun sa gusto kong gawin.
Siguro maganda yung internet connection ni Sir Moy noon. So sobrang bilis niya hindi siya nag-buffer.
Wala pa, hindi pa kami gumagamit ng internet noon. Meron.
Grabe, cassette. I love cassettes.
Meron
ngayon
na
may value yan.
Ang sarap naman dito, DJ TRISH, yung show. Ang daming positive affirmation. Ang sarap. Adjeng, Nino, maraming salamat sa affirmation nyo. Alam ko, totoo kayong tao at hindi kayo plastic. Nakakahiya, but I have to graciously and gratefully accept your kind words and generous words of affirmation. Can I just add on what Adjeng, what Ed Nino were sharing with us here? Teka muna. Hello to Len Villanueva. Friend mo, Adjeng, si Len. Hello.
po.
Salamat
Hi.
sa pagpanood.
Hello po. Hi. Hello po.
Ang feeling ko, I agree with you, Jeng, yung sinabi mo, wala talagang talo if you navigate life and you choose to be the eternal student. I mean, because you never lose the wonderment in your eyes, in the way you view and navigate the world. Ibang klase, ganun rin si Ryan Keabiab. I mean, national artist na yan. And he is literally our Filipino Mozart in our lifetime. Wala nang uulit sa isang Ryan Keabiab. Kahit na next 100 years, isa lang ang ating kota ng Ryan. But whenever I'm with him, it's just the openness to learn, not just from people, yung ginagamit ni Adjeng na term, the giants the shoulders that you're standing on, these giants. But for me also now, the way new musicians write music and make music and consume and distribute music, dami kong natututunan. And I'm not just talking about the technical and the technological aspect of it. Ang daming magaling na Pinoy. It's really a wonderment. And on the other topic yung kinikwento ni Nino, yun din. I mean, I think nakwento rin ni Adjeng, it's just but human na mangangalay ka at mapapagod ka dahil tao ka rin naman, you're not a machine. But the best thing is to rest but not quit. Ewan ko to, Nino, Adjeng, na panood nyo ba yung video ni Ryan sa Phil's Cap, Top 5 Things on how he composes? Kung lumalampas na siya ng matagal-tagal na siya sa piano at wala talagang lumalabas, hindi niya pipigain. Kasi counterproductive. May panic factor ka na, may bagot factor ka na, nainis ka na sa sarili mo, bakit walang lumalabas na gusto mo? So what he does is he lets it be and iniiwan niya, pumupunta siyang mall, kumakain siya sa
Nagmamall.
Talaga?
Oo nga, guys, Mr.
Iniiwan niya, bibitawan niya, hindi niya pipigain. And when he comes back after that, presko na ang utak niya, it's easier to the flow is so much easier. And it happens also to me. I'm always tayo naman tayo, di ba? Toto, Nino, Adjeng, we are, and I don't know the situation of Trish, right? But tayo as musicians, we are self-employed. So any job is a blessing. So there are deadlines with the job, with the work, but there is yung gusto kong i-continue sinabi ni Nino na, the older you get, you really have to find the balance in what works for you. At sa atin, iba-iba yung balance natin. Yung ating threshold for the work, for putting out the work, especially if we work, all of us, we've worked with advertising, with that. Actually, hindi ako music major, advertising major ako. So if the music didn't work, doon talaga ako, ahensya talaga ako pupunta. But even though you have your deadlines, it's also but right for your mental and physical health, emotional health, and spiritual health to find the balance To find the balance na kasi kung i-burnout mong sarili mo, ikaw rin ang talo Hindi mo rin nagugustuhan yung kantang lumalabas sa'yo. Ewan ko,
Goes
that's
hand
my
in
that's
hand,
my
yeah.
take.
It goes
I
hand in
agree.
hand with mental health. It really does. That's really side note ish. May is the month of mental health awareness, and songwriting, I think, is a way for artists and musicians to be able to take care of their mental health. Because I'm pretty sure if you weren't able to do this, mahihirapan tayo. And if it, like I said, it's just a cathartic moment to be able to write down your emotions and have it come alive. So Sir Thought, because that you are a singer songwriter, have you experienced burnout recently?
Around
Nawawala yung audio mo. Yeah, yeah.
nawawala.
Yeah, go
How's
ahead.
that?
Take two, take two. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. So, burnout is real. Hashtag.
Nagsisimula na si Toto ng joke. Dala ko lang, dog, go.
But yun, I guess it's important for me na uh, good songs come out when you're at ease, relaxed. So it's counterproductive if you try to strain yourself making songs. So it's better to minsan nangyayari sa akin, nakaupo lang ako nagsusulat pero walang lumalabas. Pero when I decide to take a break or go to the CR, minsan dun pa lumalabas yung idea pag nandun ka na sa CR.
Sir Thought.
Ano yun? Di sa toilet paper mo isusulat ngayon yung ideas mo. Para.
Sulat yung lyrics.
So interesting.
Si Nino, nagsimula na. Moy, nagsimula na si...
Hindi. Naalala ko si Toto meron siyang sinulat na song na entry niya sa Philpop. Ito, true story. Kasi anong song yun, Toto? Yung merong 7/8 somewhere in the middle of the song.
Wow. Ano ba
Tapos,
yan?
sino yung interpreter mo for that?
Ano siya, taga Jensen na singer, si Aldrich Talunding.
Oo, kasi naalala ko bagay na bagay doon sa singer na yun, yung song ni Toto. Talagang ang ganda. Tapos, ewan ko kung dapat ko sabihin to Feeling ko talaga mananalo si Toto nung year na yun. Kaya biniro ko siya. Sabi ko, to, pag nanalo ka, ililibre mo ako. So, tapos nag-mention ako ng mamahaling restaurant. Yan. To, pag nanalo ka, libre mo ako doon. Yan. So, nung ending na, alam nyo na nangyari, nanalo si Toto. So, ako, nasa drums ako. Drummer ako doon sa event na yon. So, sa loob-loob ko, nung tinutugtog na namin yung victory song ni Toto, patay ka, Toto, aabangan kita sa labas.
Iniisip mo na yung menu, no? Sarap
Ano kaya
ng dessert.
Ano kaya yung ordering ko?
So, remind ko lang to, may utang ka pa sa akin, ha?
Patay. Yun pala yung point ng kwento niya.
Yun lang. Chance ko na eh.
Singil
Don't worry, pag tapos
2021.
ng pandemic.
Chance ko na eh. Nakita ko yung chance, so go for it.
Moy,
Pasok na.
Moy, yun
Go
yung
for
sasabihin
gold.
ko. Yun pala yung point.
Oo.
Kwento
Singilan
ko lang, guys,
2021.
Singilan na ito.
Kwento ko lang guys, may utang pa si
Yeah.
Oo. Yun pala yung
Short.
point.
Yun yung
Toto, mag-ipon ka na.
Moy. Moy, yun
Pero
yung
I was
point.
rooting for you to, ah. I was rooting for you, not because of the food.
Wow.
Kasi naniniwala ako na talagang maganda yung kanta.
Maganda yung kanta.
Ang sakit ng pangako.
Sabi ni Mark, I love na dito sa stream nagkasingilan.
True.
Truth.
Sorry, tuwan-tuwa ako.
True.
So the takeaway from this part of the discussion is if you do feel tired and if you do have a burnout, just take a break and it's okay.
And it's just not about
normal yun.
songwriting. It's about life.
Correct.
In
You
general,
have to
yeah.
find your balance. You have to find your bliss because counterproductive eh. I
Moy,
mean,
you
you can do
remember-
that. Yeah,
Yes.
Jeng, kwento ka.
Sorry. I just wanted to mention this because prior to all of this happening, Moy and I were already chatting. And then I said, Moy, I plan to release a few songs. Nagchichikahan na kami online. I remember you said this vividly. Talaga. I
Oh, no.
remember it vividly. You said, like, Jeng, the mere fact na nakakapag-release tayo ng mga kanta in this pandemic, that you were
True.
able to do this is something na parang nanalo ka na rin. Because in this lifetime, to be able to release something during these difficult times is a huge deal. And I was kind of touched by that because I never really thought of it that way. Alam mo yun, parang iniisip ko, I was always on the perspective na, okay, creatively, I just want to immortalize, di ba, songs that have been, di ba, parang written before and new songs that are gonna be written na. Tapos sabi ni Moy, pero Jeng, you have to be grateful ha, kasi yung gratitude na this is an opportunity and this happened now. Parang you have to live in that moment for at least, let that simmer. And thank you, Moy, for reminding me about that. Kasi nga kailangan natin ng realization from other people who want to speak life to us. So I think one key thing that we have to take note of is to surround yourself with people who speak life to you. Because if you
Ganda.
don't, feeling ko if you don't surround yourself with people who have your best intentions at heart and you put yourself in a position where other people are going to be just pouring their noise, 'di ba, into your life na hindi naman kailangan talaga, it's gonna affect the way you view work and the way you view life in general.
Life. Yeah.
So I appreciated that, Moy. Thank you.
Salamat. Salamat.
There is that psychological teaching that you have to be careful with who you choose to be in your circle or in your
Always.
core.
Always.
Diba? Because they say that the 5 people that you spend the most time with, you start to become. So if you start to hang out with people who are negative, what do you expect to be at the end of that? So I suppose we have to be very selective, and it's absolutely not selfish at all to do that.
Trish, it's self-preservation.
Correct.
And it's not, aside from self-preservation, it's self-care. Alam mo noon, iniisip ko, syempre you're young, you're making your way in the world, and you're willing to suck up and, do the work, work the salt mines, tatrabaho, kakaya, willing ka, just to make your mark in the world. So I was of the idea that I don't have to like you to work with you. And we're just gonna aim for our goals and reach those goals. That was when I was young, but now I'm no longer young. I paradigm shift na ako. Importante sa akin na yung bedrock ng ating pagsasamahan, it's important pala that we share the same values or priorities. Kasi kung sa bedrock pa lang yun ng what's important, what you view as essential or important in your life, magkaiba na kayo, gulong ending nun. Example, you are aiming for higher needs at this point in my life, right? You're aiming to be a kinder person or a wiser person.
Mm.
Pero yung mga kasama mo at barkada mo, they're just so much still into their
Stagnant.
no into or into things, materialism or hedonism. Not that hindi ako nagmamalinis, no? Kasi nung bata ako, masarap rin maging material. Well, especially
Yeah.
when you come into money and you have access to luxury, it's nice. But then you realize that that is about happiness, which is momentary. But if you want something higher, you go for joy, which is lasting. So ano to surround before it didn't matter, ang advice sa akin nung bata ako, surround yourself with people who are excellent in what they do. I agree with that, and even Ryan says that. Um, because you learn from them, and one of the nice things na minsan medyo nakaka intimidate is when I find myself to be the, in quotes, the dumbest person in the room. But that's not wrong. That's a good thing because that's a learning moment. That's a teachable moment for me because ang huhusay ng lahat, and I'm learning. But the older that I get, for me, what works, of course, I'm not lowering my standards musically and artistically, but in terms of priorities, I guess with people who are wise and people who are kind, because that goes longer.
Mm.
For me, I find kindness and wisdom, yun yung mga investments mo sa friendship na mas matagal at
Mm.
mas matagal yung dividends, so to speak.
I love
Return
that.
of investment is instant.
I love that.
if we have to, diba? Yeah. Go
To
ahead,
add to
Jeng.
that though, I just have to say I like what Moy said about that because I realized naman in my personal journey is that as a musician or as a vocalist, I have learned that you won't get anywhere if you don't know how to get along with people.
Ooh.
I mean, you can be the most excellent person in the room, but if you don't know how to get along and work well with people, that will really be a cause of conflict, unnecessary stress. And na-realize ko parang early on, yun nga you have to know how to deal with people also, whether or not na it's just for work. Parang somehow everything is personal for me some people say no, don't be it's not it sabi sa Godfather, it's not personal, it's business. Pero you know
Business.
what? I'm sorry, pero even in business it's personal eh. So I think that to relate that to working with songs, parang feeling ko you have to again have that openness and empathy, and you have to look, I don't want to sound preachy, but you have to look at people through the eyes of Jesus to be able to really
Mm.
try to understand them and embrace them for who they are. And if you're open to that, you're more you're more of a vessel for their stories
Mm.
if you get to understand them from that perspective. Kasi ako, when I was younger, feeling ko, di ba, meron na tayo mga, uh, 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 how do you say it? Mga prejudice and all these things prior to getting to know a person. But when you look at them through the eyes of your creator, you're able to see na, wow, grabe, hindi nyo alam kwento nito. So you can't
Mm.
judge that person. And
Empathy.
when I became a little bit more open to that, I think I started writing from the heart even more. So I like that Moy kind of opened that cuento that you have to be open. You have to include that and surrounding yourself again with the company of people who can really not just affirm. Kasi dapat kailangan mo ng mga tao, you have to have people who can actually tell you na, you know what, you're doing this wrong. So I choose to surround myself with people who are true and genuine sa akin, who can tell it like it is, and who can still love me, even if I'm imperfect. So I think that's
I
something I thought.
I really love the way this conversation is flowing because it's just really going the way I want it to. Because you said two words there, criticism. And I will think of the other one as soon as I can. But um, diba, I am at the end point. Bilang DJ, being radio DJ on air and everything, I'm at the end point of this journey, right?
Why?
Of you. Well, because for example, you're only meaning na you start off at a desk or a studio and you write a song, and then you go into the studio and you sing it, and then Sir Nino goes and arranges it, and somebody produces it, and then somebody gives it to us to play on the radio. So that is the end. Parang that is the journey that the song has taken. Um, so if you can, please put yourselves in this situation because I really do want to understand. For us who are into radio broadcasting, and I'm pretty sure I won't generalize. We have that sophomore, the sophomore thing that they say that they an artist has a number one hit. Everybody is playing it. Everybody is singing it. You hear it everywhere. And then the second single that comes out or the second album comes out and it's a flop.
Sophomore jinx.
There you go. The sophomore jinx. Yes. So, how do you do? How do you do? I want to go to that part between the first album and the second album. That gap, right in between, where you're like, I know about the sophomore jinx. Everybody knows about the sophomore jinx. How do you overcome self-criticism, and how do you overcome the pressure of having a sophomore album and not, throwing that thought about the sophomore jinx out of the door? Sir Nins, I mean, with your history in music, I and the hit after hit after hit after hit. How did you do it? How'd you do it?
Well, hindi naman palaging gano'n. Yung jinx na nangyayari, hindi naman palagi magsa-stay yun forever. So, after meron akong band, so nagkaroon kami ng successful song, palagi pinapatugtog sa radio. Tapos hindi yun sunod-sunod. Magre-release ng one song and then the next song. Hindi lahat yun hits. Kaya lang, merong mga times na halimbawa, merong hindi nag-hit pero ni-release namin, hindi pa rin kami tumitigil. Hindi dahil na hindi kami na-discourage. So, nag-move on kami. Tinutuloy namin kasi gusto talaga namin yung ginagawa namin. Not because kailangan natin gumawa ng hits. Hindi. Ang attitude namin, gusto namin gumawa ng songs. Yun yung ginagawa namin.
Oh, woo! Oh my gosh! Woo! I'm
Kumbaga,
so glad this is-
incidental na lang yung hits. Incidental na lang
Oh,
yung hits.
Okay na sa akin. Nakagawa kami ng song, satisfied kami. Nag-hit ba? Bonus na yon.
Oh,
Yes!
so
What
glad
do you
this is
think,
recorded.
What do you think, Toto?
Yeah.
Well, I agree. And hindi mo naman talaga masasabi what will become a hit eh. Di ba? So, calling is to create and to create. So, yun na. It's, yung goal is not to make a hit. I'm sure lahat naman ng gumawa ng hit, hindi naman nila intention na gumawa ng hit eh. Parang the
Ooh.
songs were made out of passion. Di ba?
Ooh,
So, yun.
Ang bait ni Toto talaga. Adjeng,
Toto.
ang bait ni Toto. Jesuit Communications talaga siya. Ang bait. Always thinking the best in people.
Moy, I was about to say, you just stole the words from my mouth. Sabihin ko, go Jescom. Kasi
Mabait
totoo
siya.
naman. I mean, I think, well, man for others, basically. I mean, gusto ko lang sabihin na, yun nga, yung thinking the best of people is also a huge quality that I appreciate about Toto. And I think it seeps through his songs, the sincerity. It's this, his heart on a plate. Yun lang eh. Parang when I think about his heart on a plate, parang magandang inspiration yon for me and for all the people who are striving to produce and to create music eh. You have to put your heart on a plate. I mean, Toto, thank you for putting your heart on a plate. Gusto mo inulit-ulit ko yung heart on a plate.
Hindi,
Just
maganda yun.
May art.
At saka yung music iniimbaras ko na to kasi kanina akong pumupuri. Yung, alam mo may mga music artists na pinapakinggan mo pa lang, alam mo yung sa timbre ng boses, alam mo, at saka yung hagod sa boses, alam mong mabait. Alam mong mabait, alam mong hindi subtle, and you have that quality. I agree with Toto. Writing music or doing art, whether it's film or visual thing, any art form, like writing music, you don't do it to come up with a hit. You hope it's a hit. But every time you write a song as composers, it's like flying a kite. You don't know if it will fly, if it will soar, or it will fall to the ground. But yun nga ang sinabi ko kay Adjeng, hindi natin kontrolado how the public chooses to accept or reject you. What you, but the only thing that you can control is that you can give birth to the song, and it happens. The song happens and materializes within your lifetime. On that strength alone, that you were able to write a song and it gave you joy, because that's a matter of self-actualization, the highest
Mm.
need sa Maslow's hierarchy of need.
Correct.
The,
Maslow.
the fact na nangyari, yun, Adjeng, sabi kasi, hindi natin kontrolado kung mag-hit, but na-release mo sa buhay mo, panalo ka na nun eh.
Moy, I love you. I'm sorry, kailangan ko lang sabihin to, guys. Sorry, mahal ko kayong lahat, pero Moy, I love you. Gusto ko lang sabihin yun. Iba eh. No, kasi I think that people need to understand that artists, a lot of artists, and I'm speaking for myself here, I personally have a lot of self-criticism that I deal with on a daily basis, primarily because I feel that there are a lot of layers to our persona. Diba? Yung mga personalities natin, there's that hope that you want to create something. Sometimes there's perfectionism. Sometimes there's a a hope for control. I mean, there's a lot of things coming into play when you create, diba? So ako, I deal with self-criticism also, and I realized that to have people really genuinely want the best for you and want you to feel confident enough to, diba, to go and parang carry on. When you have encouragers in your life who speak life to you, that's a huge deal. And Moy is one of them. So thank you, Moy. And gusto ko lang i-stress again that tama ka eh, there's no control. We have no control. We don't know where the wind will take us, honestly. But to be able to keep creating, again, like what Nino said earlier, that yeah, they never had that objective na, okay, kailangan talaga next song dapat hit na ulit ah. Parang naging incidental na lang na naging hit siya. But that won't stop me from creating and enjoying the process. And writing, writing songs like my first single, which is O Sige Lang. O Sige Lang was an 11-year-old song. Ay, an 8-year-old song. So parang feeling ko 8 years old. I mean, 8-year-old little baby, alam mo yun? And then he decided na, okay, now you're ready. Alam mo yun, now you're ready to be heard. Alam mo yun? Parang feeling
Tinog
ko,
ka na.
yeah, ang akin kasi we don't know eh. We don't know when and how, pero if God decides to pour upon you a certain kind of favor, that's more than enough for me to be able to
He's never
enjoy
late, he's never early, it's always the
It's
right
on
appointed
time.
time.
If I can relate that to, my industry, I was never after, popularity. I know there are a lot of other DJs who are more popular than me. They are household names. Diba? But my philosophy in going to work and playing music is how I segue the songs. And if I can just make one person happy, then my job is done. I don't need 100 listeners. I don't need 1,000 listeners. I don't need that's a bonus, but if I can just make one person smile because of how I connected two songs, then I'm good. Then I'm so good. Okay, that's the perfect segue. You're speaking of second singles, and you already spoke about your first. So, Jeng, let me ask you directly. What is "If Only" about, and how did it go with you writing it? How old is this song, first of all? Because you mentioned kanina, O Sige Lang is 8. So how old is this song? Is this relatively new or teenager na ba siya?
Actually, teenager na. But I'm trying to remember right now because syempre may epidural moments na ako. Admittedly. Epidural moments! Hindi. Pero syempre, I mean, I remember writing it in 2010. But Nino mentioned to me earlier that it was 2007 daw. So we're trying to place it, kung ano. Kasi if I recall, alam ko 2010 namin na isali siya in a contest. Right? Tama ba ninyo? Parang 2010.
Oo. Pero syempre,
Yeah.
na-write natin yan anytime before that.
Yeah, even before. So tama, possibly
Oh.
2007. So it's like 14 years old. And I think of that song, if I can say this, it's a precious sonic photograph in my ambient album of music memories because it's you can hear the tears in the spaces. And for me, when I wrote that song, feel ko kahit masaya na ako. Masaya na ako nung sinulat ko yan eh. Pero I had to revisit a wound to fully heal from it and to fully heal it and heal from it. And sabi ng mga ibang friends ko, girl, medyo masaya ka na eh. Ba't parang gusto mo pang magsulat ng mga ibang sad songs? And then I think, sabi ko, you know what? I want to be able to look at that time to see and remember just how broken I was. Because when you are able to really immerse yourself in that bitter moment, the blessings that come after taste sweeter. So If Only is a song that it's a sonic photograph. And recording that 14 years later, actually, I had no idea I would still feel that heartbreak. Kasi masaya na ako. Parang sabi nila, masaya ka na eh. May family ka. You have your husband, you have your children. I mean, you're in a good place. Sabi ko, but you know what? That doesn't change the fact that that kind of brokenness that I went through at the time I wrote it shaped me. It molded me to be the person who I am now. So I want to embrace that. I want to take those broken pieces pa rin and keep it in a song. And that's what
Wow.
If Only is all about.
If in the first episode you were able to introduce O Sige Lang, I would love to ask Sir Nino to introduce this next single for all of us. Sir Nins?
Okay, hi. So ito yung second single ni Adjeng. Can you hear me? Okay.
Mhm.
So ito yung second single ni Adjeng, If Only. Nung una kong narinig to, yung words pa lang, wala pa yung melody. Sabi ko, nako, ang lungkot nito. Kailangan kong gawa ng something malungkot din. Pero syempre hindi rule yun sa songwriting. Anyway, yun yung naging objective ko that time. Hindi naman similar yung experience ko with Adjeng. So I had to make hugot from some other experiences. Same level din ng lungkot. So nung ginawa ko na yun, nung time na yun, I think 2007 nga, naramdaman ko rin. So nung ginawa ko yung demo, ako na rin kumanta ng demo, feeling ko, sana kantahin ni Adjeng to in the future. Kasi parang bitin yung demo. Bitin yung demo kasi hindi naman talaga ako singer. So, nung nire-record namin ito with Adjeng's voice, feeling ko natupad yung pangarap ko. Ito yung song na gustong-gusto ko rin talaga nung time na sinulat namin noon. At ngayon ko lang narinig kung ano talaga yung gusto ko mangyari dun sa song. So, ngayon, ilalabas na natin sa public kung ano yung sinasabi ko. Sana maramdaman nyo rin or sana magustuhan nyo at least kung ano yung nagawa namin na Adjeng dito sa song If Only.
I've been there, done that. That's what friends keep telling me. I I don't need to go back to the same love that's been haunting me. But deep inside, I'm feeling kind of lonely. Ooh. When you walk by, my heart will say, if only, if only I stayed even longer. If only then our love would have been stronger. If only I hadn't let you go. I know. If only I stayed even longer. Ooh. I guess I've done all I can. I've said all I could. Thinking about you has not done me good. I tried to turn away, and even that would be in vain. If only I could have you in my arms again. If only I stayed even longer. If only then our love would have been stronger. If only I hadn't let you go. I know. If only I stayed even longer. Forget the memories. The past won't offer sympathy. When you walk by, my mind will scream, if only, if only. If only I stayed even longer, our love would have been stronger. If only I hadn't let you go. I know. If only I stayed even longer. If only I stayed even longer. If only I stayed even longer. Our love would have been stronger. Only been stronger. If only I hadn't let you go. I know. If only I stayed even longer.
Oh, what?
Lungkot.
Galing.
What can I say?
Na-realize ko, hindi lang magaling na lyricist si Adjeng, galing din niya kumanta, 'di ba?
Ay,
Mm.
ano ba yan?
Jeng,
Parang
you've been
Ano ba yan?
spreading praise. You accept it also. Diba? You've been accepting it. You've been dishing it out. You've been praising your mentors. You're standing on the giants. You are a giant yourself, and I think it's about time that you realize that there are going to be young girls and young boys who are listening to you right now, who are watching your journey and are going to stand on your shoulders. I think that's something that you have to, you know, you
God's
have to.
grace. Oh my gosh, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, sobra. Parang it's really just all by God's grace. Kasi feeling ko, kahit gaano mag-strive ang isang tao, if God's grace and God's favor isn't upon that experience, you know, wala talaga eh. Pero I'm nothing without God's grace. So I appreciate the compliments. So thank you, Nino.
It's a beautiful
Galing,
song.
galing.
It's a heartbreaking.
Adjeng, pasalamat ka sa lahat ng taong nagko-congratulate sa'yo sa stream. Tingnan
Grabe.
mo.
I mean, I appreciate. Wow.
Do you have
So,
it? Do you have
yeah,
it?
I see it right now. Sobrang thank you everyone for. Wow, I appreciate all of these
We
wonderful.
can go one
Alan,
by one. Yep.
Mayan, Janet, Edna,
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
Edna, hello.
Yeah. Alan
yeah,
G. Zapana-Mayan, Janeth. Yeah. Mrs. Yeah. Sarmiento. Yeah.
Heidi.
Heidi and yeah, Jawi. Wow, thank you everyone. Thank you for staying with us in this stream, and thank you for continuously supporting our our music. Marami pong salamat sa inyong lahat. I really appreciate it. I mean, without the listeners, without people who listen and take time to appreciate the art, 'di ba? Parang we wouldn't be here without you. So maraming salamat. And I want to take this opportunity, Trish, okay lang, to say thank you to my co-songwriter Nino for wow, thank you for that melody. Feeling ko this song would not be complete without hindi ito mangyayari without you. So thank you, Nino. And of course,
Areglo
Moy and
mo rin. Areglo
Awesome.
ni
yes,
Nino.
areglo ni Nino and ng melody.
Ganda
So
ng backup singing din.
Who
Super.
did
Si
the
Adjeng
backup
lahat yun.
vocals?
Siya,
I
si
Adjeng?
Jeng. Yeah.
so to gusto
Multi-tracker.
hindi, alam niyo Moy, alam mo, Moy and Toto, gusto ko lang i-share na yung nung record ko yung lahat ng tracks.
Ganda.
Parang dinudugo pala yung tao pag ganun kadaming tracks, ano? Parang
Oh,
nag-realize ko
but
kasi Moy,
it's worth it. It's worth it.
thank you.
Ang ganda. Si Toto also does multi-track. Beautiful. At tapos, Jeng, yung itong If Only Mo is on the other spectrum of because O Sige Lang, the first one was just really buoyant, joyous,
Thank
and
you for
then
your
If
review.
Only
Yes.
is sad and melancholy. So as a songwriter and a singer, it shows your range and what you're capable so much more. So congratulations on the new song, All in God's Perfect Time to release the song. At saka yung kanta pang Pinoy talaga, no? It's a singer song. It's a
Oh my
singer
God.
song. So every time you get to the chorus, it's so easy to sing along to the
If
song.
only I
Da, 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 da.
longer.
So,
Thank you.
Adjeng, maybe because it's a singer song, talagang it's not about production. The production is really beautiful. It's a singer song. Maybe you should consider releasing, I don't know, maybe you have either both a lyric video and the -1 para makanta. Nakikita ko na parang sa TV pang K-drama na
Oh,
theme. Pang K-drama na theme. Ganun ang mga type. Ang
thank you.
hugot.
Thank you po, Mommy Nimi. Thank you po. I actually want to say na thank you to Toto and Moy and Nino also. Kasi, and also especially yung from what Moy just said, no? Because Moy was able to review O Sige Lang. Moy, you were among those who were the first to actually, review O Sige Lang. And I really appreciate that. And knowing that you pointed out that there's range there, there's a lot to work with, and there's a lot of potential to make it even better. Parang this is the ultimate affirmation for me coming from someone who wrote one of the classics, Pagdating ng Panahon. I mean, I'm sorry, when it comes to classic Filipino original music, I mean that has become one of the pegs. And Moy, to hear you say these things to me, and of course to Nino who composed and who wrote this with me, ano okay na ako. Super thank you. Okay. Toto na parang okay na ako. Okay na ako. And thank you. And si Toto kasi and I have been bandmates since the beginning of time. Feeling ko, we've been bandmates talaga. We've known each other
Forever
since
bandmates.
college. Yeah, rock on. And then, pero feeling ko parang we've already known each other in terms of yung the beginning. 'Di ba? Yung the beginning of the career, the beginning, all the nakakaiyak, mall tours, radio tours, duling na sa pagod. You know what I mean? We saw each other through all those times, and to have him to see him smile, and kasi this is a composer I greatly respect. I mean, a singer-songwriter
Yes.
I also greatly respect. So for me to see Toto genuinely say na, parang Adjeng, gusto ko tong song. Parang thank you lang. Kasi kahit tawa tayo ng tawa for jokes and everything, na minsan natatawa ako, minsan hindi. Pero kahit na yung jokes, minsan
Actually,
may
may
mga
tanong
jokes.
ako eh.
Ayan na naman, ayan na naman. Am I ready? Sige to, go.
Audio.
Ano raw?
What key is it, yung song? Akala ko kasi in the key of if.
Ay,
Ay, sabi ko na nga ba
Moy!
may punchline eh.
Moy, did you see that? Moy, na-enjoy mo ba? Kasi ako, I'm trying my best. Toto, ang ganda-ganda na nung sinabi ko.
Trish, you lost a
The
lot
key
of
of-
listeners now.
The key of if. So yes, thereabouts. Si Moy,
Baka biglang
humirit
ikat
na lang.
na ako ni Cliff sa
Si Moy
screen.
biglang, if. Tapos na. Mic drop.
Sutton De Vera says she loves your new song.
Oh my
And
goodness, thank you po.
Nifa Tampok Buenaventura, congratulations. So, Adjeng, please share with the listeners of Trish, when is this dropping?
Okay, this song, my second digital single, If Only, will be dropping tomorrow on Spotify, YouTube Music, and iTunes. So sana po ay tangkilikin niyo po ang original Filipino music. And I'm very, very excited to share with you many more. And to say, and to respond to what Moy said earlier, yes, there will be a lyric video on my YouTube channel, Adjeng Buenaventura. And I want to share also that there will be, nagkaroon po ng music video. And I'm still in the process of creating the music video from home, being directed by my cinematographer and my director via Zoom. So lahat po ng pawis at dugo ay hopefully magiging all worth it once you see the music video coming very soon. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
So in 2 hours,
Congratulations.
no, Trish? In 2
Sorry,
hours,
yes.
it's dropping
knew
in
that-
Spotify.
Yes,
Right.
yes. Also, I knew that we were going to overshoot our target. How long?
Oo nga, no?
Sorry,
Yeah,
ah.
I knew it. No. That was my
Sorry.
plan to really overshoot.
Baka
Because it's such a-
mangalay yung tao.
It's such a I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think it's such an inspiring conversation. You never know who you're going to touch with the words that you are speaking or singing. You never know. So I'm pretty sure somewhere, whether it's on Adjeng's page or on her YouTube page, there is a young singer-songwriter who is lost, who doesn't know what to do, and to listen to all of you standing on your shoulders, they'll have a path. That path will be cleared. To close the show, I have to. I believe that we are never promised tomorrow. So if you feel something today, you should say it. You should say it.
Yeah.
I am first and foremost a lover of music. I wouldn't be a broadcaster if I didn't love music. It inspires me. It breathes life into me, and I believe that God has put certain people with gifts on this earth for a reason. And I think that if people do not share this gift, sayang talaga. So thank you, Jeng, Toto, Nino, and Sherm. Thank you so very much for sharing your gift and being able to help us listeners in moments of distress, Thank you for being there with me in moments of distress, of sadness, of happiness. You have been a part of my life without you even knowing it. And that is so inspirational. Thank you for sharing your gift with the world, and never ever stop. Thank you for being such an inspiration to me and to everyone who is watching tonight. Grabe. Thank you, Jeng.
Thank you, Trish, for the
Thank you, Trish.
appreciation. And Adjeng, you did it. It happened in your life. It may have taken you 14 years, but in 2 hours, it's happening. Congratulations, Adjeng and
Thank
Nino.
you.
It happened.
Thank
It
you.
happened.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Thank you so
Just
much.
as a final, before we say goodnight, what advice do you have for those up and coming and aspiring singer songwriters? Starting with a Jang, we'll go in a circle. Jang, what do you want to say to those young ones who want to be who you are?
I just want to say that everything starts and ends with God. So at the end of the day, all we have to do is surrender everything and offer everything to the greatest artist ever, and that is our creator. Everything that we plan, everything that we hope for, we just surrender all those things and surround yourself with people who can genuinely give you true feedback that will help you improve in your craft. And third, of course, never let pride seep into your heart. I like what Moy said earlier. I wanted to reiterate that. Never let pride seep into your heart, because if you have that beginner's mindset and you're excited to keep learning and growing, then you will find your place in the sun eventually.
Thank you, Jang. Sir To, ikaw, what is your advice?
Siguro with my advice will be a quote from a Jesuit priest, si Father
Yan na.
Arupe. He said that who much is given, much is expected. Parang sa Spider-Man din. No?
Ooh,
Pero I remember that quote. I learned that when I was starting out. Eh. And
Mm.
siguro to those who are up and coming, yourself and can you hear me? Okay ba?
ulitin mo. For those of you who are
For
coming
those
up,
who want to
upcoming,
to 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 write songs, yun, be honest with yourself and uh ask yourself, do you want to express something? And if you truly want to express something, then go write something, 'di ba? Create and enjoy the process. So yun. Share it. Yun.
amen. Sir Nins, your advice.
Sige. Pagka dating sa songwriting, palagi ko nababanggit ito. Yung Psalm 96, "Oh, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Sing to the Lord, bless His name. Tell of His salvation from day to day. Declare His glory among the nations." So, sa mga songwriters, reminder lang, whenever we write songs, let's be responsible kasi let's always remember, nakikinig si Lord.
Hmm. And last but certainly not the least, Sir Moy, your
How do
advice.
you follow that? Ang ganda ng sinabi nila lahat. Um, First of all, thanks for having Trish. Thank you for giving Jeng this platform to promote her brand new single, If Only, written by Adjeng and Nino Regalado. In 2 hours, it's dropping on Spotify. I wish to enjoin all of the listeners and those who will also watch the replay of the show. Please support new OPM music. Um, in a world wherein the push is always the young, the shiny, and the new, sometimes you hear a lot of people having their quarter century breakdown because of the pressures, and you keep on comparing yourself to sa laban at karera ng ibang tao, and you just freak out and you lose your way. I just want to share with you that there is the timing of the Lord is never late nor early. It's always at the best appointed time. If Only got released after 14 years. And it took Ajeng so long to pick up the mantle, to, to have the humility and the courage to step out of the band and be a solo artist. But even that, through all those years, may rason ang Diyos kung bakit. Now was the appointed time of Ajeng. It's funny, Ajeng, that you're doing this now because ang kasabay mo to discover themselves as a songwriter and the singer is Bernadette Sembrano, the broadcaster.
Broadcaster,
She's
yes.
finding her voice as a songwriter. So even if the world says, it's too late for you, or matanda ka na, or it's too late, na paglipatan, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. As long as you're alive, as long as God gives you the words and the melody, do what you want to do in terms of your music. And no matter what the world says, as long as you're happy with your output, your song, share it with the world. I just want to say congratulations. You have two new songs this year, 2021. I'm looking forward. Hopefully, by the end of the year, you can release already Adjeng and Nino. You can release your EP and release songs, new OPM songs that you've written. Because as you said, Adjeng, this is if only it's a snapshot of you of the iteration of yourself 14 years ago. Gawa ka naman ngayon the 2021 version of Adjeng at ipasok mo sa iyong EP. Congratulations, everyone.
Wow.
Thank you, Moy. Thank you so much. Thank you. Grabe.
Thank you so
Grabe.
very much, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight, for staying with us for tonight, and for being part of the conversation. We hope that you enjoyed. Remember, Jeng's single is going to be available on Spotify, on YouTube Music, and on iTunes in about, like Sir Moy said, 2 hours. So please go ahead and support new OPM music. Always believe in yourself. Let these individuals and angels on earth be an example to you that once you have your heart in the right place and your mind focused on your creator, anything, absolutely anything is possible. And with that, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a beautiful evening, and we shall see you soon. Good night.
Thank you.
I've been there, done that. That's what friends keep telling me. I don't need to go back to the same love that's been haunting me. But deep inside, I'm feeling kind of lonely. Ooh, when you are by, my heart will say, if only, if